Welcome back to High Stakes. Elevate your game by subscribing to our channel so you never miss our daily content. For exclusive access to our premium betting picks, join our Patreon. Find the link in the comments section below. Stay ahead with High Stakes.
Florida State, FSU, versus Georgia Tech. Mike Norvell's fourth season as the head man in Tallahassee was an exceptional one, where he led the team to a 13-1 record, 8-0. ACC. Norvell's Seminoles went 12-0 during the regular season, beating Louisville 16-6 in the ACC championship to improve to 13-0. However, they were snubbed from the college football playoff as the committee opted for one-loss Alabama in their place. That's all in the past now, but I'm sure Norvell will be looking to make a statement in his fifth season in charge. His Seminoles are the favorite to win the ACC championship game, plus 290, and they're plus 140 to make the newly expanded CFP, minus 180 to miss. From a personnel standpoint, the biggest stability for Florida State this year is its offensive line, which will return 4 starters from last season. As for the skilled positions, it's worth noting the biggest news of all, which is that redshirt senior transfer DJ Uyunglele will take over things under center. The well-traveled quarterback threw for 2,638 yards on a 57.1% completion rate with Oregon State last year, adding 21 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Uyunglele will be working with an entirely fresh receiving core, as a trio of the Seminoles' top pass catchers have moved on from the school. Defensively, Florida State was one of the best units in the country last year, allowing only 19.8 points per game against FBS competition. That was the 17th best mark in the nation. The same duo of co-defensive coordinators, Adam Fuller, 5th season, and Randy Shannon, 3rd season, will both return in 2024. Brent Key is back for his second full season as the head coach with Georgia Tech, and he's looking to build on a 7-6, 5-3 ACC campaign. He'll bring back Buster Faulkner as the offensive coordinator, who's also in his second year. Tyler Santucci will take the reins of the defense, and he was previously a DC and linebackers coach at Duke. In terms of personnel, Haynes King will return under center for the Yellow Jackets. The signal caller threw for 2,842 yards on a 61.1% completion rate, while adding 27 touchdowns and 16 picks. Haynes easily qualifies as a dual-threat quarterback as he also amassed 737 yards on the ground last season. Jamal Haynes led the way with 1,059 yards, 6.1 YPC, and he'll return for his redshirt junior season in 2024. Out wide, the Jackets have an emerging star in Eric Singleton Jr., who's in his second year, 714 yards, 6 TDs in 2023. The big question will be the defense. Georgia Tech got shredded for 30.8 points per game against FBS schools last season, 100th. They were also gashed for 223.4 rushing yards per contest, which was 130th out of 133 teams. New defensive coordinator Tyler Santucci will definitely have his hands full turning things around. Football is back, and you know we need to get a couple of bets locked in for Saturday's ACC opener from Dublin. As for the side, I'm going to take the points with Georgia Tech in this contest. Ultimately, I think this is an advantageous setup for the Yellow Jackets as they take on a Seminoles side that suffered a ton of turnover from last year's 13-1 roster. Per PFF, Florida State lost 10 of its top 13 players from the organization in 2023. This feels like a great sell high point on the Seminoles, who may take some time to get their feet underneath them in terms of offensive production. I think there's a solid chance they win, but the Jackets should be able to keep it inside of 10 points. Georgia Tech brings back a solid offensive core, including its top passer, rusher, and receiver. I think Brent Key and his Yellow Jackets keep it close in this neutral site showdown. Take Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets plus 11 points. I think it's going to take some time for Florida State's offense to mesh this season. Luckily, they may have a relatively soft landing as they square off against a Georgia Tech defense that conceded 30.8 points per game last year, 100th. The Seminoles will return 4 starters on the offensive line, which should allow them to ease into things offensively against an inferior opponent. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that FSU should be able to lean into its run game and short passing abilities behind an experienced offensive line, rather than forcing DJ Uiagalelei to take 7-step dropbacks with a receiving core that he has minimal chemistry with. On the flip side, this Georgia Tech offense makes it hay running the football. Last season, they accumulated 492 rushing plays compared to 379 passing plays. This 56.5% per 43.5% split is pretty uncommon for today's age of college football. Look for them to implement a similar style in 2024 as they bring back both QB Haynes King, 737 rush yards in 2023, and RB Jamal Haynes, 1,059 rush yards in 2023. The bottom line is that I'm not expecting a ton of big chunk plays to come through the air on Saturday. This should lead to the game ultimately staying under. Finally, we're also getting a good number at 56.5. Let's take the under 56.5 points. Montana State versus New Mexico. I really wanted to grab the points with New Mexico because it's weird seeing an FBS team such big underdogs against an FCS team. However, Montana State is one of the best FCS teams in the country, while New Mexico is one of the worst FBS teams. New Mexico has a brand new offensive line, a rough defense based on last year, and a new coaching staff. A lot of learning on the fly. The Montana State Bobcats are positioned to hit the ground running and compete for an FCS title. 2 touchdowns is a bit strange to see. I get it. I'll just trust Montana State and lay the points. My team pick is Montana State minus 13.5 points, and my total pick is over. SMU versus Nevada. Given how both of these teams fared last season, this is an apt opening week spread. However, it does still seem pretty hefty without knowing exactly what each of these sides is going to bring to the table out of the gate. It is safe to say that Nevada will be putting a much heavier emphasis on their defense this season and that they should fare much better in that department this season under their new head coach. The issue here is that they haven't specifically gotten better in the personnel department on that side, which will be an issue, especially in this game. They are up against an offense that is extremely well-versed. The Mustangs are a tempo team, and they will put the Wolfpack defense on its heels early. Temps will be an unseasonably 64 degrees at kickoff, but no precipitation is expected. Look for SMU to make a little bit of an opening statement in their first game as a member of the ACC. Take the Mustangs to cover. My team pick is SMU minus 24.5 points. This matchup comes with a big total due in large part to the SMU offense, which was one of the best in the country a year ago, as noted above, and returns pretty much all of the starters from that unit. That said, they weren't putting up massive numbers in the early going of their schedule last year, minus a 69-0 win over FCS side Prairie View A&M. Another reason for the big total is likely how bad Nevada's defense was a year ago. Noted above, they didn't necessarily bulk up in that department. However, they are now coached by a defense-first staff, which will greatly switch the dynamic up for the Wolfpack. The under was 8-6 in SMU's games last season and 6-6 whenever Nevada was playing. This is a lofty number for the opening game. Take the under 56.5 points.